Guys, how are you guys doing? Hey Deja, hey Robert, hey Sam, hey Jen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well.
Hi, how are
So,
you?
what brings you to today's session?
So I'm a graduate student studying cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes like security doesn't go hand in hand with usability. So I'm interested in ways of trying to merge both things, and yeah.
Sure, that's interesting to know. Anyone else wants to share what brings them to this session while we wait for a few other folks?
Hi, my name is Johan. I'm a PhD student at NYU Center for Data Science.
Mm-hmm.
And in my research, I also build like interactive visualizations for people to understand social networks. And yeah, I just want to learn, something about visualization and human-computer interaction.
Cool.
Yes, thank you.
Hey Ariel, welcome to the session. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. Hey Shirley. So I will now begin the slideshow that I have. Just let me know. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can.
Cool. So as you guys already know, today's session is going to be on laws of UX. It's going to be a pretty conversational, easygoing, easygoing session, nothing very serious. So here is a little about me. So I'm a full stack developer at Pectra Edge, which is a AI based service company functioning out of New York, New Jersey. I did my Master of Science in Integrated Digital Media from NYU Tan, and I graduated in January 2020. So this is what we are going to do today. So this is how the flow of the conversation will be. We'll begin with what are the laws of UX and why are they important, and then I'll highlight briefly what the aim of today's session is. Of course, uh, we cannot discuss everything that the laws have to provide, but I'll try to give you a brief overview of what these 10 laws are and what ethical implication these laws bring with them. And then the floor will be open for any questions and answers. So what are the laws of UX? So laws of UX are actually basically they take psychology and they try to see how human behaves with digital interfaces and experience. So specifically the psychology behind how users behave and interact with digital interfaces, which is actually a valuable design skill that all non-designers should have. So these laws were not created by me, but there is a person by the name of John Jablonski. Uh, he actually did these research and wrote a book by the name of Laws of UX. So even though I created the presentation, all the research and all the laws have been, developed by him. So here's a quote from his book, which reads, as humans, we have an underlying blueprint for how we perceive and process the world around us. And the study of psychology helps us decipher that blueprint. Engineers can use this knowledge to build more intuitive, human centered products and experiences instead of forcing users to adapt to the design of a product. we can use some key principles from psychology as a guide for designing in a way that is adapted to people. So, why are these laws of UX important? So, one, they help us understand how aesthetically pleasing design helps us to create better and positive user experience and how to get positive responses from them. Second, these laws gives us a framework for applying psychological principles, as I mentioned. Third, they emphasize on ethical implications of using psychology in design. So the aim for today's session is to basically fuel our curiosities and inspire us all to deep dive into how to make digital experiences more intuitive and human centered. So let me begin with this screenshot of YouTube. Uh, does anyone of you, can differentiate what's the difference between the two screenshots here? Feel free to use the chat or to unmute yourself and just directly speak. Anyone wants to take a shot at this?
It looks like the one on the right, it's more simplified to me. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
So yeah, please go ahead.
let's say the space between the icons and the words, and when it's selected, like for the left one, it's like the whole thing is selected, but for the red one, it's like only the icon and the words are like thicker.
Mm-hmm. So the main thing in the two diagrams on the screen is both of them are YouTube, but does anyone remember, like, so as you guys mentioned, that the one on the right is more spacious and the one on the left is looks like a little cluttered. So the on the left one is the old YouTube, how YouTube used to look, and on the right one is the one that how YouTube currently looks. You guys will also remember, if you guys use Facebook a lot, that Facebook also updated the UI. But all these big companies, when they update their UI, they always give us a chance to go back to the previous UI. So they just don't drop the fish in the bowl. They do it over a period of time. They'll gradually invite you to test the new UI, and you'll still have a time to go back to the old UI. And then after a certain point of time, uh, they'll say that okay, you can't go back, so everyone has to use the new UI. Any thoughts on why do they do this?
I think it's because changing the UI is traumatic for the users because users know when a specific menu option is and they click right away. And if you change just a little bit the position of anything, takes time to get used. So they don't want users to feel stressed about using their website.
That's correct, Sam. And even Ariel said, let users learn the new version easily and gradually. So that's correct, guys. Michael. So the first law of, again, these laws are not numbered, but like I'm just going in a sequence. So the first law, which is the Jacob's law, it reads like users spend most of their time on other sites and they prefer your site to work the same way as they are used to browsing other sites. This also applies to mobile applications. And one another quick example that I can think of, um, is that all the hamburger menus are generally on the left. or maybe the other easier example would be the logo of the brand is always on the top left corner. That is primarily because we are now hardwired in such a way that we always want to look at the top left corner to find the logo of the company that the site belongs to, or even with NYU, the logo is always, any good website that we see, the logo is always on the left. Sometimes people can do a center line of the logo, and you can even place it on the right, but studies showed like 96 point some percent of users will not be able to figure out where the logo is if it's not in the top right, top left corner. Yep, so this is the first law of UX. um Here's a screen. I'm pretty sure that everyone is familiar with this UI. Most of us use iPhone. I actually took it directly out of the Apple's website. So anyone wants to take a shot on why do we have icons everywhere, but we always have these four or three or two, whatever we decide, not more than four. These icons always on the bottom. Anyone wants to take a shot at that? Let me repeat the question. Why do we always have a bar, the bottom bar with four most used icon at the bottom? Yeah, I mean, Warren says we use them a lot. Ariel says use them most often. But why? Why the most used icon bar can't be at the top or in the left or in the right? Or why does the Mac OS we have this bar that you see here? Why do we always have it on the downside? I mean, I'm sure we can change it, but why is it like this? And now I can't get it out of the screen. Oops. Yeah, anyone wants to take a shot at that? Closest, Manish says those are closest to the thumb. Yep. Manish, did you read it out of my next slide? So yeah, so the second law of UX is that the time to acquire a target is a function of the distance and size of the target. So that's why even if like I use a lot of Gmail, so Gmail has this plus option to compose a new message, and that is always at the bottom right. Have you guys noticed that? Anyone? So this is called the Fitts law, and Fitts law basically, so all the options that are most important and the call to actions that you want your users to use the most are always closest. The distance is always less, even if it's Mac. We always take the coordinate axis 0 0. If you plot a graph, so the closest distance is always at the bottom of the screen, right? Cool. Let's see what we have next. Yep. Okay. Next question for the audience is, uh, what are the similarities or differences between the two screenshots of remote television remote? Come on, guys, help me a little here. Anyone wants to take a shot at answering the question? Cool. Let me help you guys with this. So the remotes that you see on the top are the typical remotes of how TV remotes used to look like in the past. The most used buttons are near the middle. Warren says that. Not, yeah, that might be true. Um, Simpler, less buttons, bottom one. Yeah, Manish, there you go. So, correct. So, the more choices you give the users, the more complex the situation becomes, and the more cognitive load is there on the user. So, as designers, as engineers, our goal is to always simplify the situation, and to give them like as less the lesser the options are, the quicker the user will make decisions. So in case if you want to sell a project, if you guys want to do a startup, if you like, how is it always difficult to choose from let's say 15 or 20 examples of a bag? But if you only had like two or three good choices, it will be much easier to make a decision and reach on a conclusion sooner. So that brings us to the third law, which is the Hicks law, which says that time it takes to make a decision increases with the number and complexity of choices available. Nothing like very complex. These laws are very simple, and if you think, if you try connecting the dots, you'll think, oh yeah, these are some things that we already kind of use in our daily lives, and they help us. So having said that, let me move on to the fourth screenshot that I have for you guys. um can anyone tell me um why do the Jordans that you see, why do the website only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options at the top in the menu bar? I would appreciate if someone would unmute themselves and take this opportunity and let me know why do they think that the Nike website only gives 5 options in the menu bar.
I guess it's because what you said, that if you give too many options, like the users get overwhelmed, they have a hard time deciding, and they end up saying, okay, I have to think about it, and they end up not buying anything. So I guess it's a trade-off between giving no options and too many options.
That's a very good point, Sam. So the fourth law is actually derived from the third one. So the Miller's law says that the average person can keep only 7 plus minus 2 items in their working memory. This like you would also realize that when the mobile numbers used to be short, and this is exactly the reason why phone numbers at one given point of time used to be 7 or 8 digits, and then mobile phone came, and then there was a boom in the demand for new phone numbers, and then we changed to two, like we added 2 more digits, and now we have 10 digits. Even in, like, if I see with US, if you see the first 3 digits are always the area code, and the later 7 numbers are the numbers that you use to connect to a particular person. So this is exactly why this is happening, because like human brain can only keep um, 7 plus minus 2 options at what, like, in their active memory. So that's why websites, the popular websites, the good websites, or the good mobile applications, you'll see they'll they'll generally give you somewhere between 5 to 7 options in the menus, so that you have limited choices, and then you can narrow down your search for what you are actually looking for. On to the fifth one. So again, we uh, know these screens. I don't think I have a question here, but I'm definitely trying to show you something, and that's the Face ID. So all the new iPhones that that we buy today have these Face IDs. Um, can I try to make it a simple question. Can anyone try telling me why you know why is the Face ID necessary? Okay, that might not be a proper question, but let me directly jump on to the fifth law of UX, which is the Postel's law, which says be conservative in what you do and be liberal in what you accept from others. So the screenshot that I showed you here is also a good example of that there's a certain kind of complexity uh, in the like when we as users think and how computers or how computing works. There's a great difference between how we think and how computers work. So the fifth law is basically says that there will always one needs to be conservative in what we do and being liberal in what we accept from others, because there's a like how we function and how computers function is different. And that's why I showed you the screenshot with Face ID, is because we as humans can remember human beings, but for computers to remember, they create a information layer from our face data, and it'll ask you to rotate, and then it will scan the data. So there's definitely a mismatch how computers function and how humans functions. So that's why the fifth law: be conservative in what you do and be liberal in what you expect from others. Anyone here has used MailChimp or any other kind of uh, email marketing platform? Okay, Warren says they have. Warren, would you mind unmuting yourself and letting all of us know what do you think of I'm trying to show here for the people who don't know or who haven't used MailChimp? Okay, looks like, okay. So Warren says, can you please repeat the question? Sure. So for others in the audience who haven't used MailChimp, do you mind on elaborating what is showcased by this screen? Oh, did I say Sam? Okay, sorry, I think I messed up. I was speaking to Warren, but so whenever sending email campaigns on MailChimp, even though they say it's very easy, can be a lot of stress for some people. Like, it is definitely a process where you add users to a marketing list, and then you compose the email, and then you choose when should the email go out, and a whole bunch of decisions need to go in that process. So what MailChimp does is MailChimp gives you these wonderful and unique animations that they have created, where they just before you are ready to send out the campaign, it will show you like you are launching maybe some kind of missile or something, like something of importance, maybe a space shuttle. So why they do this is because of the peak and rule, which says that people judge an experience largely based on how they felt at its peak and its end, rather than on the total sum or average of every moment of the experience. So you would have also noticed that, if you go in a new situation, if no matter what, how was your experience, if you come out of it with a positive or a negative experience, that is always the thing that you'll remember. um, so now to the seven, yeah, so anyone can find similarities on this screen. Anyone wants to take a stab at what are the similar, come on guys, what are the similarities on the pictures on the top and on the left? Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so let me layout. Chen says layout. They are look-alike. Warren says they look like things we are already familiar with. Same design, colors. Yeah. So, and this is one of my most favorite, and I say most favorite laws of UX uh, is because it's called the aesthetic usability effect, and as the name suggests, users often perceive aesthetically pleasing design as designs that are more usable. So let's say you land up on a mobile application or a website which looks way like which is extremely well designed and is aesthetically very aesthetically pleasing. So users tend to think that the website or the mobile application is more functional, like it'll help us, help the user solve the problem that they're trying to solve, um, compared to a website or a mobile application where it might not look so good, but it might have all the functionality in the world and will be able to solve all the problems the user is looking to solve at the website. So what I'm trying to say here is that the first impression, uh, in the first impression, if something catches the eyes of the user, the first impression is always, very important. And if that's aesthetically pleasing, people seem to think that it is the right solution or the right website, or the right application for them. So moving on, the next law, again we are back to the Apple screen. I don't know if if anyone else wins anything out of this presentation, but I'm pretty sure that app I did a good marketing for Apple though. So Um, can anyone tell me what is the striking feature that I'm trying to highlight in this Apple screenshot? And we are back again to the dock. Anyone wants to notifications? Correct. There you go, Warren. So I was trying to highlight the notifications, not me, but this is how Apple built their iOS. The eighth law is known as the von Restorff effect. I think I butchered the name of the person, but anyways, the idea here is when multiple similar objects are present, the one that differs from the rest is most likely to be remembered. That's why we have notifications on our phone, so that um, in a sea of application icons that we see on our phone, to differentiate it from others, we have notifications, so that every time we see that red notification bubble, we know, okay, we should open this application because we might have an update. um so here's a screenshot of Gmail, Google for Work, basically one and the same thing. um I don't have a question here, so let me first go to the law. So the Tesla's law says that there's certain complexity in a given system which cannot be taken away, or it's also known as the law of conservation and complexity. And it states that for any system, there's certain amount of complexity that cannot be reduced. Now, let me take back to the screenshot I was showing you guys. So, what are the two, main elements that are required for anyone to send an email? Anyone wants to guess? Like, what are the minimum two requirements that you absolutely need to have to send an email? Send button. Send. Okay, thanks, Chan. Sam says sender and recipient. Correct. Sender and recipient are the two things that cannot, like, you can't send an email without um, without you can't, like, if there's no sender and there's no receiver, there's no email. So that apart from that, we obviously need a body, um to have basically a body which says, okay, I'm writing to you this mail to you for so and so reason. So you need to communicate. So that's the third part, body. But so what Gmail does is, um, they try to solve this problem for a good amount of time, and then they thought that we can obviously give suggestions. So suggestions can be, they'll suggest you email based on the name, if the person is in your contact list, or if you send them email before, so they'll show you that, okay, you can send an email to this person. And now, you know they have all kind of artificial intelligence and machine learning models which actually reads through our, you know how we write, how we communicate, and then it will suggest, excuse me, and then it will suggest us, possible text that we could, just swipe through or just press tab and it will be typed for us. The other thing how Gmail is trying to help is, if we get a mail, the Gmail bot tries to understand the context of what is being said, and and then we get these buttons with, I don't know what they call it, quick reply. I think they call it quick reply, where you just press on the button. It's more like chat now. So that replies directly goes to the person. So again, there's some complexity that cannot be taken away from a given system. You can try to solve it, but you still will need those things, those elements to be there. On to the last one. Anyone wants to take a guess of what I'm trying to show here in the Facebook page? It's Facebook, that all of us know. What am I trying to highlight here with this screenshot? Anyone wants to take a shot? Preloading. Yeah, that's correct, Chan. Preloading. So a lot of these websites, good ones, will show you a spinner, or Facebook has this unique UI where they will show you that a gradient kind of is moving, trying to show that they are working behind the scene. Why do they do this? Anyone wants to put in the let me know, why do you think they do this?
I think it's because users are impatient. So at least you leave something to the user to do or to watch while the rest of the content is loading.
Mm-hmm.
And also because users cannot, I mean, it's less overwhelming if you give the information progressively, maybe.
Sure, I totally agree with you, Sam, that users are impatient, and so to keep our attention on the page, they'll give us these spinners, or these unique animations, which makes us think that they are actually working behind the scene to actually make the content appear. So it already creates an image in our head that, okay, this is the layout for stories. We'll get stories here, and we'll get a post, or we'll get a picture here. So why they do this is because of the Doherty threshold. Because productivity seems to soar when a computer and its users interact at a pace which is less than 400 milliseconds. And that ensures that neither has to wait on the other. And as Sam mentioned, and as I also agree with his point, so everything that happens, like the input and the output, ha- should be in a time frame less than 400 milliseconds to you know to hold the user's attention. So in some cases, if there's if it takes time um to basically show some content, that's why the companies, because they don't want you to change the tab or change the window and go to any other social platform. They want their users to stick to their website, so that's why they do it. And with power comes great responsibility. I'm pretty sure all of us have been in situations where we are trying to download something, and suddenly it says you should enter your credit or debit card, everything, and then only can you see what's trying to you can download a piece of software or something or the other. um the other example is what is called dark patterns, basically. So anyone wants to guess why do we have infinite scroll on Instagram or Facebook, or why did all the mobile applications, when you pull them down, they refresh it? Anyone wants to comment on that? Cool. So let me tell you another concept which is called variable reward. So the UX designers and UX researchers do a lot of research on humans, and this is what is called as human computer interaction. So, and this includes not only like how users interact, but also learning a lot of human psychology and why are we making decisions that we are making. So if you see the reason of the infinite scroll is to basically get the user hooked on a particular social media or a platform, so that the user can just keep on scrolling and probably wasting time, and now they have ads and all those things. So basically derive money out of our interactions with the platform. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that even though if we know these laws, and we know that as humans we like rewards, and we like instant rewards, um, we should all use these laws of UX, or these basic laws in a way that we do not do harm to anyone, and we have some kind of ethics and morals when we are creating our apps or websites. Yep, and that's all from my side. So do you guys have any questions? Excuse.
Yeah, I wanted to comment something because you said that, well, we said that like the websites want to give the content to your users as soon as possible with no delays. But in certain cases, would it make sense to put a delay on what we show to the users, like to make them more eager to see it, or I don't know. Does it make sense?
I would again, no, it does not make sense because we have such short spans, and there are a lot of studies that have gone. Um, if you search about these laws on the internet, you can find studies that have gone behind these, and you'll realize that as humans, we have such short span of attention that we very, even if we are motivated to see something, we will actually, so in case a video is buffering, what happens is we will actually change the tab and come back to that tab, and we'll let the video to buffer. Well, this is not an experience that designers want from their apps, because you do not want any user to jump to another platform or jump to another solution and come back to yours, because again, like as designers and engineers, we want users to be to use our solution compared to other competitors that are there in the market. Warren says, do you have some other apps or sites that are good examples of for UX? Warren, can you specify what do you mean by good examples for UX? Because UX is like a very broad term. So what kind of examples are you looking for? That you think are easiest to use? So, besides my love for Apple, I think Apple products are very easier to use. And no, this is not a paid promotion, but I think Apple products are very easier to use. The other examples that are very famous with the UX community is how Uber, because and this might be helpful for the other question also, that whenever you book a Uber ride, uh, if you remember the UI that used to be there before, they did not have the car animation or how far the your driver was or your ride was, and then slowly and slowly they figured out that people will you know close the app, or they lose the track, and it was just monotonous. So to take that out, they started having these animations where it'll show you where your ride is, and how far it is and when will it be reaching. And so Uber is a very good example. Sam asks, what is the worst example of website or app you know of in terms of bad UX design? Okay, I used to know one, but I know that has been taken off. Um, I can't think any like bad UX design. I can't think of. I can't actually think of bad UX design websites. That's a good question. Let me say. Maybe I. Yeah, I got one example for you, Sam. Craigslist. How hard it is to find anything on Craigslist. Like Craigslist, even though it solves a purpose, and it also helps me reiterate my fact of aesthetic aesthetic and usability effect, that even if how bad Craigslist look, it actually solves a very good problem. But we do not like, people just like, yeah, there are bad people over on Craigslist, and they'll try to sell you furniture, like furniture or apartments that do not work or that do not exist. But Craigslist actually solves a very important problem where anyone can sell their goods. um
I
so
was
but
about to ask you about Craigslist
yeah.
because it has a very particular interface, right? I mean, it's very different from the others. And I was thinking that if you, for example, had a bad experience with Craigslist, maybe it's possible that when you see another website that is very similar in terms of design and so, maybe you have a bad like it makes you remember that bad experience, and that could be like not beneficial for that website, right?
Yeah. um yes, so that's why like now Facebook is trying this. You have an Instagram marketplace, now you have a Facebook marketplace, and I don't know when we'll soon probably will have a WhatsApp marketplace maybe. So the whole idea of those things are like, one, they'll derive some kind of monetization out of those, and to be kind of able to see a person who's already on the platform, whom you might not know, but you'll see some kind of content or something on their pages, which will help build you that trust. Because Craigslist is very simple, you just go, post, add the details, add photos, and that's it. But Facebook still will, Facebook takes time to, because I have used Facebook Marketplace to sell furniture. So Facebook will, still, their AI ML will go through it and will make sure it's not a spam. Chen says maybe also Reddit.com. Maybe I haven't used Reddit a lot. I just now I started reading that blog on Reddit which says which crypto, which stock to invest in and when. Yeah, but the UI is pretty bad. There's no um, UX on it. But at this point of time, I definitely will like to make a point that actually I learned this in my global innovations class at NYU Tandon. that you always need to stay ahead of the curve because the technology is changing so fast that you have to change with technology or someone else will run you over. Any other questions?
Can you just elaborate on your last point? What do you mean by changing technology?
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have taken the class with Professor Mike Driscoll in the TMI department, but I took even though I was in IDM, I took a class with him on global innovations, and that's where I learned this, that every year there's a report by Mary Meeker which comes out, which is the global internet trends, and which basically suggests like these are the points, like these are the technologies which are booming right now, and this is where all the investment in terms of big tech is happening. So if you don't let's say if you are a banking a classic example from what I remember is like if you are if you are a bank or if you are like a financial institution, in a few years if you choose not to have some kind of integration with cryptocurrency, you will definitely start losing the customers, and whatever bank or website or whatever financial institution will be there which will integrate both the crypto and the normal currency that we use will of course have an upper edge. So I mean, this is not a prediction that's made in the report. The report just says that this is a trend to look out for, and if you're in the field, you should be cautious of these things. So I'm just saying, for like if you take Craigslist as an example, um, like Craig, the value addition that Craigslist is doing has been going down over time, right? We still use it, but it's just a matter of time when Facebook Marketplace and Instagram Marketplace will grow to will have much more market penetration. That like Craigslist will actually be of no use after a while. That just might not happen tomorrow or this year, but like that's just a trend that I'm talking of.
Okay, thank you. I have another question, which is in the industry, what's the difference between UX designer and the front end engineer? And
Sure.
how much
There's
overlap?
mm-hmm. That's a good question, and I kind of try to answer that every day in my company that I work in, because a lot of people ask that question. So let me try finding that example if I can. Just give me 1 second. There was a Let me see if I can find out. Yep. So here's a very good example that actually came up on my LinkedIn, which I was able to find. So a UI. So let's say you know you are using a restroom at the airport. So a user interface designer, a UI designers work is like, how do you control the temperature on that particular faucet, right? Should it be cold or should it be hot? How should the user be able to use, like, should we have a knob or should we have a sensor? So that's the work of a user interface designer. or front end engineers basically do the same thing, but front end that's more related to websites or mobile application. It's in front end engineers just write the code in React, Angular, or any other technologies. But I'm generally giving you an overview of difference between UI and UX. So UI is like, how do I control that temperature on that faucet? But a UX designer's work is like UX designer takes on generally a bigger picture, and he or she or they might ask, why are we making people walk across a tile floor to get to the dryer with wet hands? So that's a UX problem. Like, why do we have to install the dryer on the wall that's far away? So UX takes a lot, um, takes an understanding of human psychology as well. And people also ask this question, like, what is the difference between a UI designer or maybe a visual designer? So like UI designer, you will be working on building interfaces, but a visual designer is more about styling, right? Why don't these faucets match, or why does something look different than this? So that's visual design or styling.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Cool. I think we are almost at the time. Um, Randy and Diana, do you have anything to say? Because I think we are almost done here.
Nope, I think we're all set. I just want to thank everybody for joining us. This was great. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
This was great. Thanks to everyone who joined.
Bye bye. Thank you. Nice to meet.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Randy. I will stop sharing.